Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. As always, it's a pleasure to have you here again. Before we jump into this week's tip, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. Before I jump into this week's task, I wanted to quickly let everyone know I'm also doing this now on Instagram, and the handle that you can use to find me is EQ_with Eric. Hopefully those tips will help you out there, and you can pass this along to any of your friends or family that might be interested in having an EQ tip once a day, as I will post it once a day out there. This week's tip is all about change, and we're going to talk about how to embrace change using emotional intelligence. And let's face it, no one likes change, whether it's at work where you have to learn something new, or you have a new boss, or they're restructuring, or at home when, God forbid, someone passes away. Change is really hard, and I can tell you change was hard for me. I don't like social media yet. I'm going to try some of these things out for the first time, and it's hard to get through it, and we're going to figure out how to use our emotional intelligence to power through it, and not only just power through, but to make us better in terms of embracing that change. So let's jump in and look at this week's EQ video tip. Tip number 1, and this week's tips come to us from Candy Wines and Darren Royal. The first tip is identify the source of your resistance. Why are you resistant to this change? Could it be that you're worried in this new change within your job that you don't have the skill set you need? If so, and you identify it, maybe you can upskill yourself or learn new techniques to help yourself out. If it's, hey, I'm worried I'm not going to be involved in the new process, figure out ways that you can get involved into that process. And if you don't like the way the organization's moving, that's okay as well, but it may help you out in the long run, so you need to give it a chance. But identifying the source of your resistance will help you in terms of embracing this change. Tip number 2, question the basis of your emotional response. What's really bothering you? Are you angered? Are you frustrated? Do you have fear? What is actually driving you away from this change? Once you identify that, then it can help you understand what you need to do to fix it. Are you really angry at something? Are you frustrated that you're not part of the decision-making process? And how can you become part of that? By focusing on what that is, you can then take a leadership role in understanding how to make the organization or your problem or your change better. So take a moment to emotionally label and understand what it is that's bothering you with the change. Tip number 3, own your part of the situation. And it's not easy to be part of a new situation, especially one that might be negative towards you, but you need to be self-aware of what's happening and own it. And what do we mean by owning it? Well, if you find yourself tense or anxious because of a new situation that's changing in your life, whether it's in work or your personal life, figure out what those negative emotions are coming from, own them, maybe practice mindfulness, maybe take a walk, maybe do some box breathing, whatever it is, take a moment to own that part of the situation and make sure it's not affecting your attitude going forward, and give it a chance for this change to actually work. When you do that, you'll be open to considering new perspectives and understanding how this may actually help you as opposed to hurt you. So take a moment to own your part of the situation. Our last tip, turn up your positive outlook. And again, EQ is all about positive outlooks at times. Think about, with this new situation, what's positive or what's good in it for me as well as for my company or my family, whatever it might be, but turn the negative into a positive. See where there's opportunities with this change that will help you out and help everyone else out. You'll be amazed that you'll become all of a sudden a problem instigator and turn that into a problem solver. And things like that make yourself change. You're changing that hardwired negativity into positivity and finding opportunities for your growth as well. So take a moment and change that outlook from negative into positive, and you'll find new meaning in whatever change is out there. That concludes this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully you'll help yourself in understanding the different changes that are in your life and be able to embrace them as opposed to have them drag you down. Let's review these tips that we learned this week as well. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.